Tonight, I and the citizens of this country have only one demand, one call for action. And we want our governments, our police, to ensure that the culprits are booked, put behind bars, and justice is done. That there is an actual fear in the minds of rapists, in the hearts of rapists, a fear of law and order. And that there is a fear in all of those who shield, make excuses for the rapists while they blame the victims. Because tonight in our country, rapists are openly trapping, ravaging, and killing. Tonight, these two cases should shake us up so badly, viewers, that we raise our voice once more like we did for Nirbhaya, that we raise our voice beyond social media. In Jharkhand, let me tell you what happened. In Jharkhand, in Ranchi, where the state is set to go to elections starting tomorrow and the entire state is on high security, it is flooded with security personnel. In such a place, a law student was abducted at gunpoint, taken away and gang raped by 12 men just a few kilometers away from the Chief Minister's residence. So much so, and they were so brazen about it, that in between they ran out of fuel. They called in some more friends. Those friends came with petrol and then they continued with this horrific crime. Can you imagine that? In Telangana, in Hyderabad, the brutality was no different, if not worse. A group of men punctured the scooty of a 27-year-old veterinary doctor. They plotted this and then they went ahead pretending to help her. They then gang raped her, strangled her to death. That wasn't enough. They didn't stop there. Wrapped her body in clothes and a cloth, doused it with fuel and burnt her. They spoke with her sister, who got a call from the victim just a few minutes before this crime. And I want to play this out, because what the girl says on the phone is literally what every woman in this country feels like when she steps out on the streets of our country. The victim said she was alone and she was scared. Listen in.
నాకు కాల్ చేసి చెప్పింది, నాకు భయం వేస్తుంది, నువ్వు నాతో కొంచెం సేపు మాట్లాడు అంది. ఏమైంది అంటే నార్మల్గా పార్క్ చేసే దగ్గర అక్కడ నుంచి వెహికల్స్ పోలీసులు లిఫ్ట్ చేస్తున్నారని చెప్పి ఇంకొక టోల్ గేట్ నుంచి వెళ్ళే దగ్గర పార్క్ చేశాను నేను మళ్ళీ తిరిగి వస్తుంటే లారీలో అక్కడ ఉన్న వాళ్ళు ఎవరు, మేడం మీ టైర్ పంచర్ అయింది అని చెప్తే, ఏం కాదు నేను బస్ స్టాప్ దాకా వెళ్ళి అక్కడ చేయించుకుంటా అంటే, లేదు మేడం మధ్యలో ఆగిపోతే మీకు కష్టం అవుతుంది, మేము సరి చేయించిస్తాము అని చెప్పి ఎవరో ఒక చిన్న అబ్బాయికి స్కూటీ ఇచ్చి పంపించారంట. మళ్ళీ ఆ అబ్బాయి తిరిగి వచ్చాడు, షాప్స్ అన్నీ క్లోజ్ ఉన్నాయని, మళ్ళీ వేరే షాప్లో చేపిస్తామని తీసుకెళ్లారంట. అయితే ఇంకా రాలేదా అంటే, ఏమో ఇప్పుడే తీసుకెళ్ళారు, నాకు చాలా భయం వేస్తుంది అని చెప్పింది. నేను చెప్పాను వదిలేసి వచ్చేసేమని, లేకపోతే టోల్ బూత్ దగ్గరికైనా వెళ్ళమని చెప్పాను. కానీ తను ఏం వెళ్తామా టోల్ బూత్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళి నిల్చుంటామో చెప్పి వాళ్ళందరూ చూస్తారు అని అంది. తర్వాత ఏంటి ఎవరు కనిపించట్లేదు అంది. మళ్ళీ అందరు లేదు వచ్చారు అలా అని అంది. నేనన్నా కొద్దిసేపు అయ్యాక మళ్ళీ కాల్ చేస్తాను పెట్టేసా. మళ్ళీ కొద్దిసేపు తర్వాత ఫోన్ చేసి నాకు భయం వేస్తుంది అంది. మళ్ళీ నేను 22కి కాల్ చేసింది నాకు. నేను చెప్పాను వదిలేసి వచ్చేయమని, లేకపోతే వెళ్ళి ఆ టోల్ బూత్లో అయినా ఉండమని చెప్పాను.
She told her sister, don't stand at the spot. If you're alone, if you're feeling scared, at least go where the toll booth is. Stand there. The sister said, I feel uncomfortable even there because the men who are present there will stare at me. And so she stood there alone. And she waited, hoping that the men who had offered to help her will fix her scooty and bring it back. That's when the unimaginable unfolded for her. Think about what that girl went through in those last few minutes. And then listen to the Home Minister of Telangana and what he had to say.
अफसोस की बात है कि वो डॉक्टर एक पढ़ी लिखी होने के बाद अपने बहन को फ़ोन की, अगर वो 100 को कॉल कर देती तो सेफ़ हो जाती थी। बाज़ वक़्त दुख होता है, इसमें अवेयरनेस बिल्टअप करेंगे लोगों में कि 100 नंबर हमेशा पब्लिक के लिए एक फ्रेंडशिप नंबर है। अगर कहीं पर भी अगर 100 नंबर पर करेंगे तो विद इन 3 मिनट्स 4 मिनट्स में पुलिस वहाँ पहुँच जाती है। अब हो सकता है बहरहाल बोलते ना, वक्त ख़राब रहा तो इंसान बाज़ वक़्त सोच जो है अपने सिस्टर से बात कर रहे हो और तकरीबन 30 मिनट के बाद उनका फ़ोन 40 मिनट के बाद फ़ोन ऑफ हुआ, तो उसी दरमियान में अगर एक आध फ़ोन 100 पर कर देते तो यकीनन पुलिस अलर्ट हो जाती थी, पहुँच जाती थी।
Wow, look at that audacity to say, why didn't you call the police? Call the police and say, what? I am standing here alone and I'm scared. Can you please come and rescue me? Because that's the amount of faith women in this country have in law and order. Shouldn't the minister instead introspect why the girl didn't do that? Why she was constantly on the phone with her family and didn't feel safe enough to call the cops? She talks about the fact that she parked her vehicle somewhere else because the other side, police were towing away the vehicles. If she still didn't have the faith in calling the police and looking towards the state for help, what does it say about our police and what does it say about our state government? And what does it say about a home minister who within hours after this horrific crime has turned around and shamed the victim? It's also unfortunate that the DGP of this state actually named the victim. I don't know if there are rules about it once the victim has passed away. But I am wondering if he actually thought about it and he spoke to the family and asked them if it was all right, even before the rapist had been arrested. Tonight, viewers, India is calling for action. This time, it cannot just be social media outrage. Raise your voice, make it count. The streets have to become safer for women in our country. And I say this with utmost sincerity as I make this request to the Prime Minister of this country, to the man who actually brought about a campaign like Beti Bachao. Mr. Prime Minister, let us make this a national issue. Yes, it is state's duty to maintain law and order. But I am, and this channel is requesting the Prime Minister, because if he speaks about it, if he asks for action, then there will be some, then there will be accountability, and then this will be a national story. Safety for women will get the attention it requires. Let's say good evening to Swaranjit Sen, former DGP of Andhra Pradesh, joining us this evening. Shamina Shafiq, former member of the NCW. Mr. B.L. Vora, former DGP. Tara Krishna Swamy, a social activist, and Kingchuk Nag, senior journalist with me. Thank you for patiently waiting by, but there was a detailed message I had to put across to our viewers this evening. And Shamina, I want you to join us in this call for action. It's not to say XYZ has failed, but it is to say that we all need to come together, because this is the reality. What that girl told her sister, that I feel scared, I'm alone, but if I go and stand there, I know those men will stare at me. That constant fear, how do we get rid of it?
Tanvi, my heart breaks. I tremble while I listen to you when you were talking the details of the case, and also while I speak regarding the case, and for so many other women like Nirbhaya, like this doctor, like the young girl law student in Ranchi. There are hundreds and hundreds of girls and women in this country who are afraid to even reach out to the police in this country. Not just women, men also, but since we are talking about women, I'll only talk about women today and girls. Why is this police apathy such a big thing in this country? And I say this with full responsibility. While I was in the National Commission for Women as a member, let me tell you that the data spoke the reality, and that was the highest number of cases that got registered in NCW during those 3 years of my tenure from 2012 to 2015 were of police apathy. That means the police fails to, in fact, win the trust of the people or actually do the due diligence, perform their duties. And that is why perhaps this girl did not have the faith, the trust to even reach out to the police. And the audacity of the Home Minister is something which is so uncalled for. I mean, how can he be so insensitive of saying, instead of actually saying that how dare the criminals have the guts to commit such a crime on a highway where I believe near the toll plaza. I mean, there has to be some kind of a police patrol van also. Where was the police? Why at all? I mean, the people have such guts and audacity. How come the criminals are having the guts to commit such crime? Why the criminals are not afraid of the police, but the common civilians are afraid of the police? These are the questions that need to be answered. And also at the same time, what about the Nirbhaya? So much hoo-halla was made about Nirbhaya Fund. The women's movement came out, NCW came out, irrespective of political parties, everybody was on the street, and finally the Nirbhaya Fund was created. How is it being utilized? How the fund for Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao is being utilized? Where is being utilized? Why, I mean, still the awareness that Mr. Home Minister was talking about has not been created. If you actually look at the amount, the percentage of fund of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao being spent, it is more on publicity of the government, or rather than actually taking some concrete steps and ensuring that people in this country are aware of the pros and cons of committing any such crime. And to top it all, Nirbhaya's criminals have still not been actually punished in the true sense. Nirbhaya's parents are still waiting, and that is why perhaps the message is not loud and clear to the people in this country, because they know they can do anything with women and get away.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is so
you know what,
shameful.
Shamina, the message is loud and clear.
Breathing in the same environment.
The message that's loud and clear is that nobody cares about giving justice when it comes to crimes against women. Those men convicted a long time ago are still in jail. And Nirbhaya's mother is running from pillar to post even now, 7 years later, asking the court why are they not being given the punishment that was decided for them. Why should anybody be scared in this country? Mr. Swaranjit Sen, I'm going to come to you. You know that place. You know law and order. Please tell me, should there not be an introspection tonight as to why that girl did not call the police, but instead thought it was safer to be on the phone with her own sister?
This shocking incident clearly shows the total distrust that the girl had for the police. After all, the police wasn't there, very far away. They were doing some work on the other side of the road. The girl could have gone to them and expressed her fear, but she preferred to call her sister. This shows that there is certainly great lack of trust. Now, this is all because we as a country are not evolving. I'm sorry to say that neither has the judiciary evolved from, let us say, 50 years ago, nor the police, nor the administration. This is the present state of affairs. Just getting cosmetic changes, like, changing colors of scooters that we saw yesterday, I saw on TV, or fancy cars and all, will not change the response system. The response system has to change from the mind. What is being done for that? We recruit people into police department who are absolutely unfit just because they can run or do certain things. Is that the right thing? Is there any kind of a psychological test for these people? You know, the police response has to improve. We cannot go on like this.
No, but let me ask you, in that area, Mr. Sen, how is it that near a toll booth, which is...
There is no fear of the...
Yes.
No, there's no fear of conviction.
Yes. In that area, Mr. Sen, how is it that there was no police patrol that happened in all of this time, you know, where these guys were going back and forth? First, they took her scooty to one place. Then one of the guys came back saying, oh, all the shops are shut. I'm going to try another place. You should come with us. They managed to convince her to go to a compound because she was feeling unsafe even at the toll plaza. In all of this time, how come there was no police patrol that spotted this? How could that be?
Well, it seems that there was some kind of police on the other side of the road. Why did they not spot this?
Yes.
I mean, it certainly seems to be a lacuna, a serious lacuna on the part of the functioning of the police. And I'm sure that the Commissioner of Police will look into this, because we can't have things like this happening on the ORR, where there's such a rush of traffic all the time. It's not as if it is totally secluded, especially the place where all this occurred. So how bold these people were. You know, there's something basically wrong which is happening in these areas, and it's only the police and the intelligence that can sort it out. But yes, we have to have a better judicial response system which disposes of and convicts these cases and does not look for lacunas or postpone cases, you know, on flimsy grounds. That is how everyone is getting bolder and bolder, because they know that probably there won't be any conviction. We can get away with it.
And you know, I
And
want
where
to...
did they get these, you know, drinks at that moment?
Yes, they
Do
were
we have to
sitting
look into
there.
that
They were
also?
sitting there and having alcohol, and they plotted this. They spotted the girl at 6:30 in the evening. They had 3 full hours to plot this, to puncture the tire of her two-wheeler and wait for her, then pretend to be helping her, and then gang raped her, strangled and killed, and then burnt and dumped her body. I mean, it gives me the shivers to even think that something like this can happen in our urban cities, let alone what could happen in the rural, in the countryside. This is happening in one of the biggest metro cities that we have in our country today. And the TRS government has zero answers for all the gagging of the media, for all the action that they take against journalists and the threats that they issue to journalists. None of them have the courage to come and face our questions. There was those who agreed to be part of debates and panels and take our questions. They were told, no, you can't. This is the level of accountability that the TRS government is giving in Telangana right now. Mr. Kingshuk Nag, what's happening? And if the government doesn't answer us, why will anybody be scared of law and order? Where will the accountability come from?
I think the first thing you should demand, and people should demand, is the Chief Minister should come to the public and give a public apology. It has all happened because of the attitude starting from the Chief Minister, who is never seen in public, never meets people, and is always never to be found. So the government is not responsive. Only yesterday, after so many months, I saw him address a press conference. I think the first demand should be the Chief Minister should come out in public and publicly apologize for this way. And he should also apologize for the statements of his Home Minister, who's also very utterly lacking. I know these gentlemen for many years, so I know what stuff they are. Mr. Sen also knows. So that should be the demand. Don't blame the police all the time. You should blame the Chief Minister. Let the crime be at the stand at the house of the Chief Minister. The demand should be, please come out in public and apologize. Why this has happened? Why are you never to be seen? Who's going to answer? Only after you do that, then you start getting answers. Telangana, in the last 3-4 years, has become more and more a feudal state, and this sort of things are happening. People who stay here know it. It's an irresponsible government. A few weeks ago, a lady Tehsildar was burned with petrol in her office. Can you imagine that? She's a Mandal revenue officer holding a tehsil, then somebody goes, throws petrol on her and burns her in the office. These sort of things have become very common around Hyderabad. So this should be there. We can't wait to 5 years for the next election and the opposition parties. So I think the demand should be, Chief Minister KCR, please come to public and apologize and explain why this happened. Without that, there will be no answer. And he has a son who is a minister, he has a daughter who has lost the election or chosen MP. Why should they not give answers? I demand that.
Well, he can come and apologize. But frankly, you know, a lot more has to be done. A lot more has to be done when it comes to law and order, when it comes to sensitizing the police. We have to start asking ourselves this question. Don't shame the victim for not calling the police. Think about why she didn't. That's the amount of faith, perhaps, people have in this country in today in law and order. Tara, let me come to you next, because, you know, Nirbhaya's rapists are still alive. They're still in jail, but they're alive. Now, what kind of messaging are we sending? Why should anybody fear the law?
Tanvi, you know, this is just so shocking, and it's heartbreaking for the women of this country, because every single day we wake up and read about the absolute gruesome rape of innocent after innocent after innocent woman somewhere or the other in the country every single day, and it goes unpunished. I'm not exaggerating. 12% is the conviction rate for sexual crimes against women. So when the parliament sits around and passes a law saying we want death penalty, it is meaningless, because 88% of those rapists will never get convicted. So you know, percent chance of getting away, nearly 90% chance of getting away with the crime. Why would it make if death penalty is the punishment or not? Because you're going to get away with it 90% of the time. That's number one. If you look at Telangana and Jharkhand, both of these cases are both of these states are horrendous with respect to the police. First of all, both of them have about 25% vacancy. They have not filled the posts that have been sanctioned. So there's not enough constables and police officers patrolling, number one. Number two, both of them have pathetic percentage of women in the police force. It ranges between 2 to 4%. 4% in Jharkhand, 5% in Jharkhand, and 2% in Telangana, 2.83% in Telangana. Okay, so when you talk about why don't women call the police force, honestly, I don't want to be talking to a man about where somebody groped me or somebody molested. I'd rather talk to a female police officer. Why don't you fill those posts? When you have 2 to 4%, you have absolutely no business claiming you have the best police force. Third, both these states have pathetic training in-service training percentages of police force, one of the worst in the country. Barely 12% of their police force is trained. So even if I were to call them, and this is all CSDS Lokniti figures, this is not some, biased numbers. So if I were to call them, what is the chance I'm going to get a police or a police person who knows what to do if they're not receiving training? And fourth, this is not just about the state of the police force. This is a state of society. When you have men that don't know you shouldn't stare, do men not know you shouldn't rape? You need gender sensitization for this? You don't know that you don't want to deliberately puncture or burn somebody? You take somebody at gunpoint. Why are guns being sold to these people? Tell me why we should not curfew men after 6 p.m. on the road.
Yes.
Because if you can curfew an entire state, because a percentage of them turn out as terrorists, why don't you curfew men because a percentage of them turned out as rapists? And you don't know how to stop that. We have a rape epidemic in this country. We don't know how to stop it. Why don't we curfew them? They don't know what to do after 6 p.m. The majority of men are fine, but the point is we're not able to stop it. We're not able to stop this epidemic. Why not? It's not the chief minister apologizing. It is the home minister that needs to step down, period. He needs to step down. If this is the state of the police force, people are not trained. You have no women police officers. You haven't even recruited to sanction strength. What are you running? Both the home ministers need to step down, first of all.
The home minister who thinks it's the woman's fault because she never called the police definitely has no place in our government, and definitely cannot be the one I have any faith in when it comes to ensuring that there is law and order in the state. That's point number one. But I want to, before I go across to Mr. Vora, if I can go back to Mr. Swaranjit Sen, because Mr. Sen, you know this area. I have traveled on that route a couple of times, but I would rather ask you about this zone. And I'm just trying to understand how this 3-hour-long drama actually unfolded when they were plotting it. And after the crime, when they were trying to clean up, when they were covering their tracks, how is it that nobody noticed? They burnt a body, they dumped it, left. 2 of them came back on a two-wheeler to check if the victim's body had properly burnt. How is it that they didn't fear being spotted or caught? Is this area that isolated on the outskirts of Hyderabad?
Well, really, it should not be isolated. And we have seen patrol cars going up and down. But why it wasn't present on that particular day and that time, I can't answer for it. It's the police commissioner who has to answer.
Yes.
But yes, patrolling does go on, and it is really, I feel, a failure on the police that they did not detect any suspicious movements by these people. I think even if they had just made inquiries at the toll gate, perhaps about this woman, this young lady, they would have got some idea as to what is going on and could have pursued the matter. But why wasn't that patrol vehicle there?
Yes.
Of course, it has to patrol a very large area, I agree. But then this has taken quite some time to happen.
Yes.
It's not as if she was just picked up at the nick of the moment and taken away. So what happened? Why was there this absence? I think police commissioner needs to answer for that.
Yes, yes.
Now, as far as what the Home Minister said, I think he's a very fine person. I know him, but he put it very badly. I wish he had said that I would have been very happy if the lady had rung up the police also. She has to ring up her sister because she feels more comfort in talking to her sister about it. But had she rung up the police immediately also, it may have helped. But you know, this shows
No, sir, Mr.
the lack
Sen,
of
I
trust
disagree.
between the public and the police.
What was
No,
she
sir,
doing?
In
Mr.
the
Sen, I
past,
disagree.
I know.
There
Not
was
personally,
absolutely
yeah.
no reason for the Home Minister to even raise this point. There isn't. He needs to explain to us where were the patrol vehicles. He needs to
he put
explain
it
to
very
us how
badly.
is
He will
it
put
that
it
this
very
crime
badly.
was plotted
Yes.
and carried out over
Yes.
several hours and still nobody found out about it. He needs to explain to us that if the first complaint was filed finally at 3 in the morning after the family was made to run from one police station to the other police station, he needs to tell us why weren't their teams immediately out there on the streets? Why did it still take 2 hours for them to find the body, and that also because somebody else spotted it, not the police? That's what the Home Minister is supposed to be telling us, and not lecturing us about how a girl who was educated and despite her education did not call the police, otherwise she would have been alive today. He needs to tell us where was the police when this crime took place. How did they not figure this out? Near a toll booth, on a highway.
No,
How
you're very
did this
right
take
about
place?
that.
Yes.
You're absolutely right about
Unfair
that.
for him to even raise this
Yeah.
point. But Mr. B.L. Vora, if I can come to you. Mr. Vora, there has to be something that we do from Delhi to Hyderabad to Bengaluru, Mumbai, Pune, and I'm not even talking about the smaller cities or the villages right now. Every woman has this fear in her head. Every relative has this fear. If your car breaks down, don't get out. Don't be on a two-wheeler. Don't travel out late in the night. You know, don't be alone. Don't travel alone. And sometimes, even when you have company, it doesn't help. In Noida, in Ranchi, these women had somebody with them. That person got beaten up. And then men took them away, kidnapped, gang raped, dumped them. How do we instill fear in the minds of rapists and not the victims?
See, one can only hang one's heads in shame as to what happened both in Ranchi and at that place in Hyderabad. Now, both the cases, police is to be blamed for, but on different counts. In Ranchi, there are elections tomorrow. There was a lot of police force around in the city itself, and the incident happened at a small distance from the Chief Minister's house. So I think police, whatever police was deployed, they were only standing on the duties. They were not proactive. They were not moving around, and they took no action. In this case, her boyfriend, who was beaten up, could have called the police. He didn't do that. So maybe it didn't occur to him at that time, because that may have helped. In case of Hyderabad, I think why there was no police patrolling on that place was on the near the toll and all. I think because either because of lack of planning or lack of resources. Now, lack of resources is definitely a big thing. In fact, one has been crying hoarse as a policeman. This country needs police reforms. And basic thing is police is even today accountable to the politician. 15 lakhs, so many vacancies are there in the country. About the Home Minister of Telangana, it was very insensitive of him to make this remark. About Nirbhaya, it's the courts, not the police, that is to be blamed. In fact, the entire criminal justice system has broken down so badly, and we at the Prime Minister's level in the country are thinking of economic development all the time. But these airports, these ports, these roads, they will not lead us to anywhere unless the people, and especially the women of the country, are safe. Now, the police image is bad, but they don't trust, that is all true. But who's going to fix it? Not the policemen themselves wholly. Yes, partly they are responsible, but where's the government? They have no money, they don't fill the resources, vacancies and all, they don't give training, they are responsible. And Supreme Court's order, Tanvi, of 2006,
Yes.
13 years ago, not one has been implemented by any state government so far. So, as I said, police is responsible, but police has lack of training, lack of resources, lack of manpower. We have to give it to them. And where is the society?
Yes.
In Hyderabad case, where was the society? There were people who were there at the toll. There were people who were saying where the body was being dumped. Same in Ranchi. So we all have to be blamed. Police must have its share of blame, definitely. But how about the society? How about the government? How about the ministers? And why are not they giving priority to the police? If you don't give safety and security to the people of India, how are you going to have economic development? And you cannot have it as much. And these young girls, one is a law graduate, the other is a doctor.
Yes.
What a shame.
What a
And
shame.
imagine what must be happening, and I'm sure it is happening all over India, in rural areas where uneducated girls, education has nothing to do with, but I feel bad.
Yes.
That even they can't do anything. So I think there's a whole lot of things we have to look into, and I agree with you. I think this is a call which must be given to the Prime Minister,
Yes.
which you said in the beginning. I think we need to make a movement of it.
Yes, and
no
people
place
believe
is
in
safe.
him and people
why
follow
shouldn't it
him.
be safe, tell me?
I'm
They are
sure
half the
his
population
party
of
leaders,
India.
I'm sure his party ministers and governments will at least take some initiative if only he makes this the priority. And hence this request and this appeal that goes out from this channel to our Prime Minister to please make this a national issue. Mr. Kinshuk, very quickly before I move on to the other horrific story, the story that's coming from Ranchi, one final comment from you. Is this a reflection of the mixed up priorities of our governments, that our politicians don't care? There's no point in even blaming the police.
Yeah, I think politicians don't care. They are not bothered, and a lot of antisocial elements are coming up because they are protected by the politicians. And there is a nexus between the police also, but police is caught in the middle. So basically, it is protection for criminals from the politicians which is causing the problem. But now, you're right, the call must come from the Prime Minister, and if not from the Prime Minister, at least from the Chief Minister, and they should be targeted for keeping. I think in the state of Telangana, it is the Chief Minister and his close coterie who should be targeted, and this Home Minister also, whom I know very well. He's a decent fellow, as Mr. Sen said, but he has a lot of other problems. So we have to go to the top. We can't just say, well, police has done this, some police constable has done this, some SP has done it. You target the Home Minister and the Chief Minister. Of course, in the case of Telangana, the Home Minister doesn't even have the law and order portfolio with him.
Yes.
So you can say, how can we hold him responsible? So you go to the Chief Minister, you ask the Chief Minister that you are a Chief Minister, you behave as if this is your feud, this is your zamindari. Now come out and explain. And first apologize, then explain why this will happen and how it will not happen again. Tell us.
Yes, no, and I have a particular problem with K.C. Rao, the Chief Minister of Telangana, because he and his government have repeatedly questioned the media, have repeatedly questioned the coverage, especially of the regional channels there. They've come out with a series of orders, not just him, even in his neighboring state, it's the same. What about your own accountability, Mr. Chief Minister? Yes. Where is your accountability today? Give us answers now about how this happened, right under your nose. Right in your city. How is it that a young girl who was simply, not even late in the night, at 9 o'clock trying to get home, was kidnapped, gang raped, burnt and dumped? How is it that this has happened under your nose? If you are the Chief Minister, then have the courage to face some tough questions and give us these answers. I'm going to thank some of our panelists who've joined us, others, Mr. B.L. Vora, Tarak Krishnaswamy, Shamina Shafiq, please do continue with us. I'm going to take a very short break, but on the other side, there is the second big brutality, and it's horrifying what's happened in Ranchi. Stay with me.
How has the police response been? Were they ready to file a complaint when you went late in the night to them? And were they with the family throughout whenever you wanted them? How has their support been?
When I went there, they told that this complaint cannot be taken and because it did not come under their control, but they told they will do the investigation. And they have checked the CCTV footage. And other than that, they didn't go to that place, they didn't check that. They told we will investigate.
Which police station was this?
RGIA.
Okay.
And later on, they told we checked the CCTV footage from 6:30 to maybe for 1 hour or 1.5 hours. Later on, they told, okay, file the complaint, then we will investigate. And after filing the complaint, they told first initially to file the complaint at RGIA airport, police station. And after writing everything, they told that this complaint should be given at old PS. So we went there again and we are writing the complaint, and then he says, why will this complaint come under our control? Then they spoke to each other. There was some conversation and it was almost 3:30 by that, 3:30.
Let's also take you through the details of the horror that unfolded on the streets of Ranchi on Tuesday at about 5:30 in the evening. A 25-year-old law student was standing at the bus stop along with a friend at 5:30 p.m. Remember this, with a friend. This bus stop is also just minutes away from the Jharkhand Chief Minister's residence and the students' college. Now, while she was there, two bike-borne men armed with weapon arrived and abduct her at gunpoint. They also beat up the girl's friend who was standing there with her, who obviously tried to save her and to protect her. They then ran away from the spot. Along the way, their bike ran out of fuel, ran out of petrol. This is when the abductors called up their accomplices to ask for help. These accomplices then arrived in a car, picked up these two abductors and the girl. All of them now in this car go to a brick kiln. There, these men take turns to rape that student, that young girl, and leave her there grievously injured. Next morning, the victim somehow managed to reach the police station, where finally a case was registered. Imagine the audacity of this crime. In broad daylight, there is no other way to describe it. In the heart of Ranchi, close to the Chief Minister's residence, at a time when the state is ready to go to polls. It goes to polls starting tomorrow. What more can I say about the lack of fear that these rapists have, lack of respect for law and order? Anila Singh, spokesperson for the BJP, joins us this evening. Dr. Ajay Kumar, former IPS officer, also with us this evening. And Shamina Shafiq, Mr. B.L. Vora and Tara Krishnaswamy continue to stay with us. I actually want to go across to Dr. Kumar first. And he knows the state very well, which is why we thought we should have him on this conversation tonight. Dr. Kumar, I don't understand. You know, the state is going to elections. There is heavy security deployment. You know, the fact that the elections are happening over several weeks is because of the security concerns, hence more security personnel. How is it that, you know, these men had no fear of law and this brutal crime gets unfolded on the streets? There is some disconnect here.
No, Tanvi, first of all, you know, more policemen on the road or more policemen in a state or in a district doesn't lead to lower crime. Because we believe that policemen will be more on the road and the criminal will be deterred. That's not the issue which is actually plaguing the police. What is plaguing the police is the first is that the basics of policing is not done. If you see the case in Telangana or whether it's a case in Ranchi, all the rape or the severe molestation of a woman doesn't happen all of a sudden. There must be hundreds and thousands of incidences which went unreported. And this is a story across India, and we do a lot of TV, we do a lot of discussions on this issue. But the fact is that unless we fix this, the police doesn't register crime. So unless anybody and every woman can fearlessly register an FIR, you try to register an FIR without an introduction, impossible. So the leadership, and I heard my colleagues, blaming politicians and all, and they need to be blamed absolutely for the way they control politically the police. But the police leadership in all these 50 years or 60 years or 70 years has to honestly start working on getting FIRs registered online in a transparent way. So that's why there's no FIRs being registered. So the rape is what you saw because this girl went. There may be so many unreported rapes. The other one is CCTVs. These basic CCTVs in all toll gates working, etc., across cities. At least the cities should have had a network of police CCTVs, 2019, and no action being taken. The third one is the data on what are the hotspots where the crime happens. Now, what I'm trying to say is not something so out of the world. Average police in the developed world and even in the South Asian region do this stuff. The fourth important thing is to have women in the police station at 50% of the workforce, and to have a women-only police officers registering these crimes. Otherwise, if you're a girl and you walk into a police station, it's one of the most difficult and horrible experiences.
Yes.
So those are 5-6 things. And can the police leadership should have done it? As a former IPS officer, it pains me. No discussions on this. It's only transfer, postings, what's good, what's bad, what's happening, crazy stuff we get into. But the basics of policing, can bring about so much of what you call protection to the weaker, to girls and women. It's crazy. And then the second part is the law. The Prime Minister and the Bharatiya Janata Party, I request them, bring a law, bring registration of FIR online. Let the crime in reporting crime in India shoot 1,000 times. But then you will start actually seeing policing happening. The basic things. And the police reform, the political part, the insensitivity. And I'll tell you, I've seen where police force for election doesn't reduce crime. Police force on the road doesn't reduce crime because they won't care. They won't do technical, they won't use knowledge, they won't use IT, they won't use CCTV. Look at this girl, no? She's going and asking them to show the CCTV. So the basic, this is a primitive police system operating in 21st century, looking at political masters and least interested in the welfare of common people. And the minister said, why didn't they ring up the police? Are you crazy?
Yes.
Why would anyone ring up the police?
Yes.
Any girl why would they ring up the police?
Why would they ring up the police?
Would you walk into a police station? So those are basic questions we need to answer. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the solution is very much easy, Tanvi. It's not beyond the police leadership. It's not beyond the police leadership.
But,
they can do it. They need to have the heart and the mind.
Let me ask that question to Mr. Vora. Mr. Vora, do you agree that it's not beyond the police leadership? Because often what we have said is, well, it's because the governments and the political parties won't bring about the reforms that are needed, won't empower the police.
Broadly, I agree with my colleague, but I think that police has its limitations. Let us say that. Now, in case of Ranchi, even the police force meant for elections, if it's not its job to investigate crime, but surely they could have prevented the crime if they were around. Their job is not to stand alone. Even as a citizen, if you are seeing something is happening, and if it is brought to your notice, you are supposed to be there. So I think in this case, there was a lot of police and they should have been doing patrolling and wherever they are. Now this place, of course, is about 8 kilometers from the distance of the Chief Minister, but there was too much of a police force. I also feel perhaps, I don't know, maybe there's a conspiracy angle also that there are elections tomorrow and to bring the government to discredit. But leaving that aside, Police leadership has definitely failed. But I think much more than that, the politicians of the country have failed the police.
No, Mr.
They are
Vora.
the ones who are responsible, I would say that way.
Mr. Vora, who would plot this kind of a horrific crime just to defame
anyway,
the government?
we can have a different opinion on this.
It's such an insensitive
We can
statement,
have,
I swear.
we
I mean,
can have,
you cannot
let
have
us
such
come to this
insensitive
case. Now here,
How can you even
We cannot, we can
Okay,
discuss the
no,
motion.
politicizing like
it's
this?
a matter of opinion, but let me complete this my comment.
Mr.
Let me complete this comment on Ranchi.
No,
Please, just a moment,
Mr.
Ajay.
Yeah,
just a minute. Let me complete on this. Now, I was saying the matter of satisfaction in the Ranchi case is at least that police has been able to arrest 12 people. That is one. Now, immediate conviction and imprisonment, as I said earlier, the entire criminal justice system has failed.
Yes.
In Nirbhaya case, why haven't people been hanged? It's not the police which is responsible for that.
Well, Mr. Vora, you know, because you
responsible
raised
for
that point, I just want to point out.
Police alone.
Yes. Why police alone? The judicial
we are
system.
To be blamed, but not.
The criminal justice system is broken. Today, you know, when there was a
That's what I'm
hearing
saying.
and Nirbhaya's mother has been going
and
back
lack
to
of
the courts
resources
again and again, asking why have these men not been hanged? Why have they not been given their punishment? Today, the public prosecutor didn't even bother to turn up for the case. That's where I agree with you, that the criminal justice system is completely broken. That has been 7 years and she's still running around to get justice. So I will not say that I am satisfied that today 12 rapists have been arrested in Ranchi. No, it doesn't matter. It won't matter until they are hanged, until they are proven guilty and there is some justice that's done, because only then will others begin to fear law and order.
Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Yes, no, I just wanted, I will come back to you, Mr. Vora, because I wanted
Tanvi, I agree that police leadership has failed.
Yes.
No, just 1 minute. I'm saying the police leadership has failed, but who will give the CCTVs to this on the roads? Not the police. It is the government which has to give it. Why don't they do it?
Okay, CCTVs is a fair point. I don't know how many of these CCTVs are functional or even track when the crime is taking place. It's only later on that we go back to these CCTVs to find out if we can try and spot the accused. Dr. Ajay Kumar, just 1 minute. Let me get a quick response from Shamina Shafiq and then Anila Singh. Shamina first, to you.
Yeah.
I simply condemn the kind of statement that the previous speaker said, and that he's sort of satisfied that at least 12 rapists have been arrested. Come on, I mean, even someone pinches you, you're going to scream like anything. And here a woman's body is being raped by 12 men. And now after having arrested those people, if anyone can say that at least the satisfaction is this, it's not done. And probably this is the insensitivity with which, I mean, the criminal justice system is also working in this country. And perhaps that is why we are not working on prevention of crime against women. We only talk about knee-jerk reaction.
What else policemen can do at this stage? You tell me that.
Why they have not worked before this stage? My point is that. Why the police is not working on prevention of crime? No, why the police is not working on prevention of crime against women? That is the biggest question. And Tanvi, let me tell you, Tanvi, please let me complete this. Tanvi,
police is not in every
Yes, Shamina, finish your point. Yes.
3 days, 4 days. Just do a reality. Just do a reality check on the working of patrolling cars on these highways. Just do a ground reality report on them. Look at the way that they behave while patrolling. It's none of their business as to what women are doing on roads and how they are being treated. It's none of their business what is happening to women and children on roads. Trust me, I mean, the patrol cars, the policemen, and I'm not generalizing, but most of them do not behave in a very sensitive manner. So who's going to fix up these accountabilities?
I don't know.
As a woman, I'm sick of listening to this. We need police reforms. We need to fill up a post. No, we need to fix up this problem in this country. This national emergency is there as far as crime against women is concerned.
And Anila Singh, I am still struggling to understand this. Anila Singh, there is such a heavy duty security deployment there. The security personnel are supposed to be ensuring that safe elections and polls happen. They can't even ensure that this one girl is safe and sound in the middle of the road, broad daylight at 5:30 p.m. What kind of security arrangement are we really looking at? How are they going to fight the Naxals?
That too near Chief
You know, when they
Minister's
can't
house.
even instill fear in a common man who is plotting a rape, a horrific gang rape like this, Anila.
Tanvi, can I come in?
That I'm coming to you. Just a bit. Quick reaction from Anila Singh.
Tanvi, in past also, like we have discussed and debated on this subject, rape. And believe me, I have always debated and discussed this subject not as a politician but as a woman, as a mother. And today also I am sitting on your panel, and believe me, I have three emotions inside me right now. That is frustration, anger and sadness. I mean, this is so sad. Like whenever any such case happens, we sit, we debate, we discuss, and then what is the end result? We very well know. So it is not about Jharkhand, it is not about Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar or Rajasthan. Rape is rape. And we very well know that in every 8 minutes, one rape is happening. Few of the rapes, you know, they come into media, we discuss, we debate, and then it just fizzles out. But the thing is, I am not going to blame anybody. I'm not going to do any comparative study here also. I'm not going to tell you that whether the Naxalite
No, but I want answers. I want answers, Anila. Anila Singh, I want answers. I want answers as a representative of the BJP. I want answers from you.
Tanvi.
Absolutely.
Tanvi.
My answer is, Tanvi, please gentlemen, let me complete.
Yeah.
As a woman, I request you, because I think the society, not only in our country, pan world, the society suffers from the toxic nature of the masculinity. They think that women is a product. They can use them, they can throw them, they can crush them. That is the mentality. And then we sit on the panel and
Anila Singh, I understand.
Anila
Singh, one minute. Anila Singh, I understand what you're feeling as a woman. I understand what you're feeling as a mother.
No government wants rapes happening in their state.
Yes.
No government wants...
Then the governments need to start doing something.
No government wants rapes
and political parties need to stop having...
Whether it is Bharatiya Janata Party or TRS or
political parties, Anila Singh, then need to stop giving us excuses. Political parties need to stop victim shaming. Political parties need to stop giving tickets to rapists. Political parties need to stop shielding rapists. Political parties need to stop giving excuses for rapists and need to stop victim shaming, Anila Singh. And that, if you are part of the political system, is also your job to take it up with your own political party. Please join me tonight in this appeal that I am putting out for our Prime Minister. I am urging him to make this a national issue. Please join me tonight, Anila Singh. I understand what you're going through as a woman, as a mother, as a sister. But I am asking you tonight to do this as a politician, as a political party representative, because that is the change that is required tonight, Anila Singh.
I totally agree with you, and I ditto whatever you say, that such people shouldn't be given ticket. They cannot become public representatives. They don't have any right. I totally agree with you. But at the same time, when we say, okay, we are going to corner police, we are going to corner government, we are going to corner this organization or that person, I think no. We have to take a holistic purview. Everybody has to be blamed. I mean, it has to, only like when help is going to come from all these sectors, then only I think so, there will be reduction in rape cases. Otherwise, I don't see any hope.
Okay,
I don't see any hope.
Yes, Dr. Ajay Kumar wanted to make a point, and then Tarak Krishna Swamy.
We must understand one thing.
Dr. Kumar.
Girls are not raped because they drink or they smoke or they wear short clothes.
So, Tanvi.
Yes, Dr. Kumar.
Tanvi, so look, you know, if we make huge statements, you know, if you make these statements and say that everybody should be responsible, that means nobody is responsible. There are certain things which are very clear, which fall into the political leadership, prime minister, government area, is to bring a law to make registration of FIR online. There is a certain power within the government to say that you will make every city about 10 lakh people.
Men's mentality, I can say, Dr. Joy.
One sec, can I complete? One sec, man, this is the whole problem.
No,
You don't let
because
anyone
you're talking
speak.
like
You
a
not
man.
understand
You're talking like a
issue
man.
is
That is
solve
the biggest
So
problem.
let me answer. Can I?
I do not want to
I'm not
understand
talking
you.
like a man.
This is
One
the
sec.
hard
The
reality
problem
that
is
in all organizations, women are underrepresented.
Again, you're.
That
Can
is
I
the case.
complete? Can I
How you
complete,
can
ma'am?
understand that what type of trauma we women go through?
I started saying women.
Yes,
Arey
Dr.
yaar,
Kumar.
can I
Okay, Anila Singh, let him finish his point, please. I'm slightly.
First of all, question is
I have to move on to the next conversation. Let's have a constructive debate. Yes, Ajay Kumar.
Can I get a word in?
Firstly, whenever
Yes,
people
coming to you
get
next, Tara.
high-pitched and all the discussion goes away, my political, my political friend, first of all, let them remove the rapists in their party before they start talking. There's so many of them. The issue is very simple. The political leadership has to bring changes in the law.
Yeah.
That means CCTVs. The political leadership has to bring online registration of FIR. The police leadership has to make sure that the patrolling vehicles have GPRS system available anywhere in the world in the 21st century. They have to have CCTV in the police station. They make sure that 50% the women, there's a women police officer posted. What is so difficult about these things? These are basic. And my colleague, Mr. Vora, I strongly disagree on a certain issue is that the police, there is enough in the police that, one sec. I've been an IPS officer. I've served as a super of police in Patna and Jamshedpur, and there's huge crime spots. And we eradicated crime by over 900%, and the people in Jamshedpur of the police force did it. But the issue is not that, and these are way back 20 years back. But what I'm saying is simple stuff. Hotspots, CCTV, women in police stations, forensic team led by women, rape, counseling services. These are things where any modern country of India's size should have had in the economic power to do.
Yes.
So politicians, please get FIR registered online. Please make sure there is a bill passed that there is CCTV in every city above 1 million population. Make sure that every city above 10 lakh, 1 million population will have a police commissionerate.
Yes.
Do your job.
No.
So, Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister has got so much of goodwill. So let him start delivering, no, ma'am.
But then I think Dr. Ajay Kumar is
he needs to make sure, and this is our request to the Prime Minister, that you ensure that this becomes a national story. I don't want to get into a political fight. Ajay Kumar is not here as a representative of a political party. He is here for his experience as a former IPS officer. So please, Anila Singh, let's not get into that fight. Last word, final word, also from Tara Krishnaswamy. Tara, there has to be accountability of the policemen. In how many cases do we see that when they fail to do their duty, when they fail to go on the patrolling duty, when they fail to react properly to a complainant, when they fail to file the FIR on time or go looking for the criminals and the victim on time, where is there any accountability for these policemen?
I totally agree. In fact, the previous gentleman who was talking about more patrol vehicles, more CCTV, more FIRs, I think they will help the situation. There is no silver bullet in this. And the reason that the police are even less accountable in Jharkhand is this. Listen to this shocking figure. In the past 4 to 5 years, the number of rape cases has gone up tremendously. Okay, just between January and April of this year, 546 rape cases have been reported. That is more than 100 a month, just in the 5 months. January, February, March, April, 4 months, 546. That's 3 or 4 a day. 4 a day. Okay, and what measures have they taken? What is the point in having elections and police personnel for elections and a democracy if the result of the democracy can't even, make sure that 50% of the population is not preying on the other 50% of the population?
Yes.
So with this number of increase in rape cases over the past 4 years, this is not in the past 4 months. There is no question of a conspiracy. What nonsense is Mr. Vora saying? Because the rape cases have been astronomically increasing in the past 4 years, plus just in the past 4 months. Just Google Jharkhand rape. You will see every city. 3-year-old children raped, beheaded. Every single city, Ranchi, Kunti, Jamshedpur, there is not a place where it hasn't happened. It has been an epidemic. What has the police force done about this? And petrol vehicles, talk about petrol vehicles, there are 20% shortage of petrol vehicles in Jharkhand. Again, what have they done in the past 5 years to acquire that? I fully blame the police force for this because short of them acquiring the sanctioned strength, they are 30%, nearly 35% short of sanctioned strength, 30% short of sanctioned strength. They are 20% short of vehicles. Only 12% of officers are trained. There are 5% women in the Jharkhand police force, 5%. And you call 100, it goes to an automated number. If I'm in the middle of getting molested, do I want to be listening to a phone call that says press 1 for rape and press 2 for something for fire? What nonsense is this? We have absolutely no concept of how to police and how to
Tara,
prevent
that
crime.
goes on to show the complete lack of understanding and the insensitivity, and they don't care. That's the basic point. This country doesn't care about the safety of women. Women as a vote bank also doesn't matter to our politicians. That's the unfortunate reality. We are tonight looking at a situation where women, even in the urban cities, have to think twice before they step out on the streets. Where if you're traveling at night, one of your family members will either accompany you, even if you're driving in your own car, even if you're on your own two-wheeler, or will want to be on the phone with you throughout that journey. Why should we walk around? Why should we travel with this fear in our minds? Shouldn't our cities and villages and roads be safe for women? And for the police and the Home Minister to turn around and say, why didn't you call the police? Well, show us some action, show us some commitment. Let us believe that when we turn to you, you will help. Not ask us 20 questions to insult us, to doubt us, to shame us. If only the attitude of the police changes, will the people begin to have faith. It is only if the attitude of the police and the state and the politicians changes, will the people begin to have some fear in their minds. In a state that is going to elections in 3 days, if men were brazen enough to pick up a girl in broad daylight, stop, call for more help, fill petrol because they ran out of petrol, then continue with their plan of kidnapping and gang raping, what does that say about the law and order in that state? Think about it. Completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us on conversation number 1.